while everybody is talking about digitization, the next poison which can inhibit digitization is the cyber threat, right? Today, when you talk about cybersecurity, that's becoming a bigger challenge. We don't know when somebody's going to give you a fraud, whether it's an industry, your own money laundering cases, and so on. So that's keeping on increasing. How do we manage that? That's going to be the session for the day. That's the topic for the next 30 minutes. With me, I have Damini, who heads the strategy business for us. So, Damini, coming back to you, quick question, right? You see these numbers on the slide. $4 million is the average security breach. How vulnerable are we?
Well, before we go into vulnerability, let me ask, how many of you care about your mobile phones? How dear is your mobile phone to you, right? It is dear to all of you. Now, how many of you care about hacking of your mobile phone? Do you think mobile phone can be hacked? Okay.
Even an iPhone?
So it's good that we have the awareness that even as basic a device that we use every second, every 5 seconds, every 10 seconds can be hacked. That's the reason why we have to talk about cyber threat and cyber security. Now let me ask another question. From the time a device goes online, how much time do you think it takes for the device to be hacked? And just the show of hands. Minutes? Minutes? How many minutes? 10, 20, 10 minutes? 2 minutes? There are the lady here will become a hacker for sure because she's talking about hacking in 3 seconds. But no, the industry data says that it takes up to 5 minutes or even less than 5 minutes in instances for a device to be hacked. Now let's talk about what do you think is the average amount of loss? And Roshan showed the data already. But do you have any idea about the loss and the range in which the loss an industry or an organization can suffer when the device is hacked or when the industrial system is hacked? Do you want to take that, Roshan? You want to explain?
That's exactly the surprising question, right? So when you talk about an average loss for an industry, it goes from few $1 million to few $100 million. I'll give you a simple example. Imagine a pharmaceutical industry manufacturing the vaccinations for COVID. The usual protocol is after every batch of production, the tank has to be sanitized before the next batch of production has to happen. A cyber attacker gets into the system, just goes on to the PLC, changes the registry of the PLC, so which means the system was showing you that the tank was sanitized. He didn't do anything more. He did not steal your data. He did not cause any monetary losses, but that entire batch of production of the medicine was gone, and because of that, the brand image and the repercussions on the people, right? It was all amplifying. It's all amplifying. It's a compounding effect. So one, cybersecurity, it's not just about security breach and cost, it's also about the brand. Damini, I just come back to you on the flip side of the topic. Today, I don't think we are ready to handle this cybersecurity and threats and instances. Because when you look at digitization, it's no more IT, right? If you remember, your phones were used just for calls, your WhatsApp, your private network. Today, your phones are also used for your public network. You're using it for banking applications. You're using it for your office applications. With work from home coming in, everybody's office is in their phones. What are we doing? So there's a convergence of IT, OT, and cloud. Right? All the devices are decentralized. On an average, 32 billion devices would get connected on the internet world. If you look 10, 15 years back, probably if you could ask some of your parents, you would see their laptops were not hacked. Their emails were not getting hacked. But the ecosystem of the industries today are getting hacked a little more. Honestly, this is transforming because of the convergence of IoT. So when we say IoT, it's not just about Internet of Things, but the Internet technology entering into your shop floor, into your operations makes it more complicated. Now with Damini, I just want to come back to you. Then how do we make sure we are secured for cybersecurity then? What should we do next? Because this is some facts I wanted to pull up and tell you. While I said there's 6 times increase in digitization happening in the system, on an average, we were talking about $4 billion. Today, I'm talking about somewhere close to $24 trillion, which is the anticipated hacking which can cause in the next 10 years. Not 10 years, probably 5 years from now. That's the average impact of a cybersecurity threat which can be expected in the industries. Now, with that coming around, I want to come back to you. What's the mantra to be surviving from this?
Let me ask you a question, right? When you observe a dysfunctionality in your own system, in your own human body, what do? You observe, right? You observe that it is going on for how long? So you try to analyze and assess it yourself. When the analysis is over at your end, then you say, okay, you need an expert help. So you go to a doctor, and then the doctor works in terms of designing a solution that will work for your body. You implement the solution, you get fit. Can you leave it at that? No. You have to then go for routine maintenance checkups, right? That is the mantra to addressing the cyber threat landscape also that we speak about. So it starts with understanding. We call it analyze and assess. So assess and advise, understand what's going on in your IoT environment, in the environment in which your operations are structured. After that, we work with the experts in consultancy in designing the right solutions to protect you from any ransomware or malware attack. And after that, go into a recurring mode to make sure that the health of cyber security, your cyber health is at the right edge, and you go into a routine operations and maintenance check. So that's the whole landscape through which you can work in terms of addressing the cybersecurity landscape. I'll pass it on to you, Roshan. Right? It's good to understand this, but how do we really implement this?
Thanks, Damin. I think you're very well summarized, right? It's a simple cycle. Analyze, address it, and keep monitoring it across the life cycle. So what is Schneider doing for you in this space? I call it the 4 C's. The first question today in the cybersecurity space is of compliance. Do we even know? Is there a standard to comply to? Because tomorrow, again, that might get vulnerable, honestly. So from a cybersecurity landscape, IEC has come up with standards for industrial control and automation. So when IoT is entering into the operational technology, how do we manage that? 62443 is the first compliance we talk about. Second, are we authorized to address that? You don't just randomly walk into some guy and say, I have fever. You walk into somebody carrying that 2-digit letter there, DR, a doctor. You don't randomly walk into people. So you need a doctor. So we also need the right set of consultants available with us who are empaneled with the Ministry of Electronics and Information Technology. Log into the website, look for Schneider Electric, and you'll find us registered there. That's very important. Third is the compliance of the products itself, right? Are the products compliant to cybersecurity? If the products are not compliant to cybersecurity, again, you're prone to attacks. And the third most important topic is how do we make sure we implement entire architecture? Now, Damini, we do all of this, right? But honestly, I still have a gap in this. If I can only build all of these solutions and share it back to the customer, let's look at what's also happening real time in the customer side. Now, before I go there, I have a question to all of you. What do you think is the average time taken to detect that you have a cyber attack in your plant? Any wild guesses? Any wild guesses? What's the average time taken to detect that there is a cyber security fault or there's a cyber attack?
Minutes, days, months?
Few days, okay? Few hours. Anybody else? Few days? Okay. So honestly, on an average, it takes 50 days. 50. Yeah? Does that sound alarming? Honestly, because the cyber attacker is not in a rush. They first want to make sure they penetrate into your network, penetrate to the firewalls. They are like sleeper cells. Get an instruction from somewhere and then boom, things go off. So you never get to know till there is a large impact. And the second thing, what do you think we do when there's a cyber attack? What do we do? Very good. So it's like this. Imagine there's a virus attack on your laptop. What did we usually do in the past? Just turn it off. Human tendency. We were always reactive to it. We just turned off the laptops. Honestly, turning off the device sometimes can make sure there's already a data loss which is happening. So even before you turn off, the system has already lost the data. Look at the controversies. We said digitization is increasing. We said we can give you all the solutions and architectures. And also the second question is, are we ready to manage the infrastructure? So here are some facts, right? The first thing, The average cost spent by an organization to manage their cybersecurity is just close to 2%. Now, with 2% of the infrastructure and the investments, can they manage the operations? No, this is a big question for me, Damini. If somebody comes back and tells me, look, I am ready to manage cybersecurity, honestly, I don't think they are. And this is where most of the customers come back and tell us, you're implementing the solution for us, you're implementing the architecture for us, but that's not sufficient. How do we address this?
Yeah, you're basically saying that I want to be cyber secured, but why don't you do the job for me? That's why you have companies like Schneider Electric who are doing the job for you. So, what we have done, right, we understand that everybody wants to be secure and safe. You want others to build the security and safety for you. Not only that, you want others or you want organizations, experts to monitor that for you 24/7. And keeping all of this in mind, Schneider has introduced a new platform called Managed Security Services. So that is the MSS program that we are launching. What does this do? Now, in a cyber world, what it means is that we will first design the solution for your IoT platform for your operations to make sure that it is foolproof and cyber secured. We do the penetration testing. We try to understand that, what is the risk that is associated in your platform for any potential attacks. All of this is facilitated by 24/7, 365 days monitoring done by Schneider Electric and by Schneider Electric experts. Now this is the breakthrough. Now you'll say, oh, but everybody does this 24/7, 365 days monitoring. What is so new in this? We link it back to your operations and to your financial results, right? The intention is to make sure that this is not done just to make sure you're secure, but also to make sure that there is no operational loss. There is no loss of data. There is no loss of investment. To make sure that all of this is still return positive for you in an environment which is more and more complex. Let's hear a little bit more on what MSS has to bring on table for us. Back to you, Roshan, to give a little bit more insights into this complicated topic.
Honestly, I think, thanks, Damini. So if you talk about cybersecurity, right, we spoke a few seconds back on what was IT cybersecurity. What was IT all about? Have you ever seen in an operations plant that even you sitting at your home, you were able to check and see how much is the production happening in your shop floor today? 10 years back, was that possible? No, because we were just on operational technology. The minute we integrated information technology to operational technology, that's where we have got this integration. Now, with that coming on board, what does it mean to us in the cyber landscape? We need to make sure we are inspecting not just the neural system. Schneider, with our expertise in operational technology, we bring the forensics right from memory, the devices or the assets, what we call it, and the network. So all of this integrated across the life cycle is able to manage. But you know what? Honestly, Damini, for a country which cultivates startup probably every 2 days, once in 2 days, you might have a new startup coming in. This is possible by anybody, right? Anybody can build a managed security services for us. What's so unique with Schneider? Why should we think of saying, okay, you know what, Schneider is able to build this for us?
Proactivity is the mantra. Right. This is not a passive system that we are introducing. It's not a passive security services. It is a proactive security services that we are introducing. What does proactivity mean and how can we build on proactivity? We have 3 pillars identified through which we try and do a proactive security solution. The first is hypothesis. Draw certain hypothesis for the business and for the environment in which you are operating, and then try and test that is your system cyber secured for the hypothesis that you're putting on the table. The second is intelligence driven. Every organization, now we're talking about data, artificial intelligence, every organization has a way of recording data. And that's the intelligence that we have in the system. How do you leverage on that intelligence to build use cases, to identify any potential threats that your business could be exposed to? Do the pen test for those threats. That's the second pillar that that we've introduced, which is why we call it a proactive assessment. And finally is situation based. Situation based, you are in a complex environment, you are bidding for a certain project, you are in a certain situation. What would that situation expose you to? You go to a mine, you say, okay, I go to a mine, I need certain protective gear. Similar to in an IoT environment, if there is a certain use case that you are looking at, what does that use case expose you to from a situation perspective. So these are the three pillars that we've introduced. We call it That's Why a Proactive Approach. Of course, 24/7, 365 monitoring exists, but beyond that, proactivity is what we have added to the program, which is what differentiates it from any regular offer available in the market.
Brilliant, Damini. I think I'm excited to hear this. It's like the life cycle of cybersecurity, right? From consulting to designing and managing the entire phase. Now, how does this translate in the real world benefits to our customers? I just spoke about saying that it takes an average of 50 days to detect a cybersecurity fault and then take the corrective actions. 50 days just to detect it, okay? And then to take the corrective actions, we don't know a lot more of days going beyond that. So, what do you think would be the benefits of implementing this kind of a managed shared services? What would be the reduction in time? Any wild guesses? Any wild guesses? How quick will the response time be? The first time, sorry? 24 hours, okay. You're still not in speed with Schneider, but let's talk. Now, honestly,
She was a fast hacker.
right. Now, the defense system, the first of its kind, Schneider Electric brings you the information in less than 15 minutes. Less than 15 minutes, you have the information of what's the cyber attack. In the next 45 minutes, you get the information, a first information report, what we call it, to tell you how do you isolate, what's the procedure for isolation, what's the quantum of impact for now, what's the next actions, and what's the sequence of events. What do we mean by sequence of events? It's like the Taj attack. People said from Pakistan they came in by boat to Mumbai, from Mumbai then to so on, and then they got into these places. Unless you have the sequence, you never know what was the root cause. You need the root cause, not just the incident. It's not the incident, and that is where we differentiate in cyber world, right? Most of the time we tell, pen drive laga diya, there's a virus in my system. No, that doesn't work. That's just the incident. But what triggered that virus onto your system? The sequence of operations becomes very important, and that's where we are able to give you a comprehensive report to track the entire solution. Now, with that, probably how do we take it forward, Damini? What's the best procedure for an industry to adapt from here?
Three things: awareness, intelligence, and execution. These are the three things that the industry should be aware of. You need to be aware, first of all, that no system is foolproof. You need to be aware about the need for cybersecurity. That's the first step. Second is that you need to be intelligent enough to be able to address it. And the intelligence comes from systems and processes, right? So you need to put the right data backbone behind it to be able to enable to collect information and to be able to help assess addressing the situation. And then third is to identify partners like Schneider Electric who can work on any platform, agnostic approach, come into your system, design a solution, offer a roadmap, and then operate and monitor it 365 days. So these are the three things that I would say that you should remember.
Perfect. Thank you, Damini. I think that brings me some bit of confidence, right? So honestly, I don't have to look back and say I need to stop digitization. But while I do the digitization, you know where to consult. So the first step for you to find your doctors, go back to the Schneider website. You can find our people who can help you address across the life cycle. Contact us on these website. You can also get the information here on these QR codes to give you the fundamental steps of how do you approach towards cybersecurity. Any questions, feel free to drop out. Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience.